Now, in recent years, the big buzzword, especially in business, is mindfulness.
Yes.
And yet it's an ancient tradition. It's
Yes.
been there all the time, and
Yes.
yet somehow or other we didn't know about it. You use it. What led you to use mindfulness?
Well, firstly, thank you so much. It's my favorite question, because yes, you're right that mindfulness is not teaching something new. It's asking people to basically unlearn whatever they've been taught. So mindfulness is basically being aware of your thoughts, having no regrets, so not thinking about the past, having no worry, so not thinking about the future, just being in the present. And children are naturally mindful. I got into this journey, at the peak of my career when I had facial paralysis. So I'm a singer and an actor from India. And in the year 2000, I just woke up with Bell's palsy where my face was completely lopsided. Now, at that point, I just gotten into, a breakup where my first and only relationship then had broken up. I had a lopsided face, my career had come to a standstill. So the three major reasons that, universal problems, love, finances, and health, I was facing all of them at the same time. So thankfully, I come from a very spiritual family where they had constantly kept reminding me about mindfulness. But I was like, the student who wasn't ready. I was like, yeah, meditation. And I was an MTV kid who worked at MTV and was a VJ. So you can imagine closing my eyes and dreaming and thinking. I was like, what are you talking about? But thankfully, it was a blessing in disguise where I had so much free time, where all I could do by default was be by myself, think about my thoughts, realize what have I done to get this illness onto myself, because I believe every illness is connected to a thought pattern. And the moment we start delving deeply into what was my past and what did I do wrong, just be aware, no judgment, but just awareness gives you phenomenal answers. And so that, my journey began, and Jack Canfield is one of my gurus who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. And through him, I worked with Louise Hay, late Louise Hay, who is a goddess of affirmations. And one thing led to another, and I realized that mindfulness, yes, is an ancient philosophy. It comes naturally to human beings. It comes naturally to children. But we ruin it, right, for children, because a child is very happy. You hurt a child, and then you say, I'm sorry, and they instantly forgive you. That is mindfulness. You say, come on, let's go to this party. They've reached the party. Come on, eat your snacks. The child is eating snacks. Come on, now we're going to cut the birthday cake. Child is now busy with the cake. Come on, it's time to go. We are training our children to get to the next place without enjoying being here right now. We lead our lives like that, right? People wake up in the morning and are so stressed about their to-do list. So children are naturally mindful. And I think if we let them be and observe them, it could help us.
Now, we've talked about how children, from babyhood are mindful.
Yes.
And when you've got the time to be in the nursery with your child, calm and everything, it's lovely.
Oh, yes.
But when they start school, then you're on that treadmill of time. We've got to get to school, we've got lunch break, we've got to get the lunch boxes,
So
we've got
true.
to get the uniforms, all the things you've got to do. And that's when the treadmill begins, isn't it?
And that's why mindfulness could be key. Because mothers do end up doing everything they have to do anyways. They wake up in the morning, they pack their lunch boxes, they pack their dinner boxes, they pack everything that they have to do during the day. They help with the art and the craft and nativity play, or you have your singing rehearsals and whatever. So be it. If mothers would just say, I can do a lot more if I think less, would be a great philosophy. I can do a lot more if I self-care. So important. The Holy Bible says it beautifully, right? Keep that cup overflowing, but you have to learn to keep your cup full. So mothers need to learn to nurture themselves first, love themselves first, do things that they like, and then they'll be better parents. Absolutely, because they'll be operating from a place of great fulfillment.
Now, you're living in London, in Chelsea at the moment.
Yes.
And we're very conscious that in London there is a worry about knife culture. Teenagers not knowing what they want to do in life, and they get in trouble. There's a lot of problems.
Absolutely.
So, are you addressing teenage angst?
You know, one of my first private clients was a teenage girl, and you know, her mother got her to me. And what I realized and I learned when I was talking with her is that any kind of addiction, and it's a huge issue where addictions are concerned, they're the opposite of connections. Whenever we lose true connect with ourselves, with our parents, with our loved ones, that's when we search for addictions. That's when we become vulnerable to things that may take us on a high and then not realize that they're also going to take us on a low. So it's very important to build connections right from the beginning. And that's where, you know, you beautifully pointed out the issue is technology. And that's where it's really important to have a very, very sacred environment at home. Research shows that children who get into addictions, or even parents who are abusive with children, where is the percentage higher? Where they have not had a beautiful ritual of eating together, praying together, a family vibration, being at home, where it's all about sharing, caring, and also celebrating mistakes, because most of the parents now only want successful children, right? The child that's in your mind, this is my definition of a child. Well, it's going to be very different. I mean, Samaya is very different from the definition I had. But I have to accept her the way she is and let her know she is loved even more when she is her authentic self. And that's how you build connections. And slowly you will see that children with addictions will find a path back into your heart, and most importantly, connect with their authentic self.
I know there are children that they store things up inside. They don't want to worry their parents, so they don't tell them about being bullied at school. Yeah. They don't tell them about the fears they have, or the fact that teachers don't seem to recognise their ability.
Sure.
So how do you deal with that?
Well, connections at home. Well, where schools and colleges are concerned, where I can only speak for Thomas's at Battersea, where they have zero tolerance for bullying, and they have made kindness a very, very big movement. And I guess that's why the royal family loves it too. But kindness is a huge movement. You bump into any Thomas's kid and you'll see that they take kindness very, very seriously. But having said that, I believe that a child truly feels nurtured more when they have a very secure background at home. If you're going to have communication that's staccato and that's fractured at home, especially when they're little, especially when parents tell children to be quiet, this is not the time to speak, what you're saying does not make sense, do not speak this way, why do you keep crying all day long, listen, I've had enough, you have to finish your food, no, this is homework time, please, not now, let's talk later. These are small little subliminal programmings that they're like signals telling your child that I'm not available for an in-depth conversation. So if you're a parent, the first thing you will have to learn is to listen. I mean, it's all about listening. And if you even go into counseling, or which I talk about, mind power, I believe it's all about listening, because everyone who comes to me would want some views and would want guidance, but that's just 20%. 80% of the time, they just want to be heard. And it's sad but true that we have little toddlers and we have children. Deep down, they feel they're not being heard. So we can help the situation at home, and we can only clean our side of the street. Let's start with being great listeners. And you'll see problems, sort of diminish slowly.
We're not, as parents, taught how to parent, are we? That is one of the big issues. I've had 4 children, and I wish I knew then what I know now.
I think you must be brilliant, because I think the parenting books, we have a plethora of parenting books that actually create more confusion than clarity. The greatest path to take is be authentic to yourself. Never project fear, never project regret. And I think that's most important, because most of the time we're either telling children not to do something, or we're telling them, why did you do that? So if we remove regret and fear, we automatically will make better decisions. And I think nobody can really connect to a child more than a parent can. But most importantly, every parent wants their child to excel. But the origins of wanting that is from a place of scarcity and from a place of insecurity. The moment it's from a place where I love myself the way I am, now with this I want you to excel, and basically my intention is for you to peak in your potential, not to really fulfill my goals. We will make better decisions. So I don't think parenting books really, really help. That's why even where my world is concerned, we're trying to tell you that, listen, all this will only work and you will only be able to implement it if you start with you first. So it's not about we only focus on the child. We have to focus on every member in the family.
Now, mothers in particular, you have a lot of stress and strains. You have a lot of baggage that comes with you.
So true.
And things your parents have told you.
Oh, yes.
Maybe, you're not much good at that. And you grow up thinking, I'm not much good at that.
Yeah, those are limiting beliefs. And also where parenting is concerned, you see, cultures are so different. For example, in India, if we don't feed the child and the toddler with our own hands, we're considered bad mothers. Like, oh my God, she just leaves the little toddler with all the food and the toddler is struggling with his or her meal, and off the mother walks away. Interestingly, in the West, they have a fabulous philosophy that when you allow the child to eat and feed on their own, we actually help them sharpen their intuition, because when a baby is born, they absolutely know where to go and get their milk. They absolutely know to cry and get their milk and to stop when they're well fed. The moment a toddler now or a baby starts to eat solids, the mother comes in. Eat your protein. Eat your carbs. You aren't eating enough. No, you must eat. If you love mama and papa, you must finish your carbs and your proteins. You must not have chocolate. And slowly the child loses intuition or complete connect with its authentic self. So it's a very interesting philosophy, and I live it, because coming from India, I have seen my mother feed. She feeds me and I'm 44 years old. So when I'm feeding my little Samaya, who's 3, interestingly, she does not eat her lunch properly when she is with her principal and with her teachers in the kindergarten. And they had to write to me that, why is Samaya not into her food? And I said, well, because I feed her and there she has to eat her meals by herself. And they immediately told me, don't do that. Let her have her own path towards food. So it's simple. It's so interesting. It's mindful. Let us all have our own relationship with food. Eat slowly. Do not eat when you're watching TV or even hearing the radio. Have your communication with your food. Be absolutely connected with your core, and you'll have fabulous eating habits.
Now in the West, with all our electronic equipment, our telephones, our televisions, a lot of children are actually sitting down watching television while they eat their meals. And we seem to have lost the art of communication, family gatherings, where the mother could say, and how did school go today?
Yeah. Oh, what was the best part about your day? How true. But Kara, I would not really only blame the West, because I think coming from India, I believe that a beautiful balanced dose of East and West could be the best gift for your child. We cannot fight TV. We cannot fight the internet. It's a modern day phenomena. But yes, we can regulate it. When we are with the phone all day long, and then communicating with our child, and the child is calling out to us, and we're like, yes, just let me send that text and I'll be with you. We're subliminally programming the child that the phone is really, really important in my life, and so it should be in yours too. When we're all day long surfing or watching 50 channels and still not satiated, we're still not happy with one channel that can really make us feel entertained, the child will follow the path too. So it's very important that you have regulations that, okay, we're only going to watch TV on the weekends, and the week is all going to be self-awareness, inner work, communication with the family, classes. So inward knowledge and a little bit of external knowledge is fun too. So I exposed Samaya only at the age of 2.5. When she started kindergarten, exposed her to television shows, because It's almost like she would be with friends and she would not know what Peppa Pig is. Can you believe it? She did not know what Peppa Pig is. But then finally she did, and it's fine. But the very fact that I don't watch TV at all now, unless it's by appointment, maybe a lovely musical over the weekend, she is now happy with that as well. I think the greatest difficulty I face is keeping the phone away completely when I'm with her, because most of our jobs now are so phone related. But how do you communicate that to a child that actually I'm working on the phone? No. So you've got to keep the phone away. And yes, once you keep technology away, you will see that they find very interesting ways to entertain themselves. And it's the same with adults. I mean, most of the couples sleep with their phones, and we have so many physical ailments, mental ailments because of that. So I think parents have to lead the way. They have to have boundaries, and once they have those boundaries, children will very naturally follow that.